We're talking to Ms. VWilhoite, and the topic is the Tennessee Regulatory Commission. And of course, Ms. Wilhoite, what we'd like to do during this final segment is to give you an opportunity to talk about some of the issues that you believe to be very, very important, and at the same time to inform our audience of what they might be able to do if they find themselves in situations that they can call upon the commission.
Absolutely. Well, you know, earlier I was talking about the telephone assistance program, and I also talked about slamming and cramming. I want to mention that our agency placed down against a particular company, Talk.com, the largest fine of its kind, after our investigation that they were, in fact, in violation of our rules. They had, in fact, slammed, they had instances of slamming, and the fine that we placed down was a $1 million fine. A couple of those fines were, that money also included fines from resulting in calling consumers who didn't want to be called. And that leads me to our next program,
talk about that.
the Do Not Call program. If a consumer wants to stop those pesky telemarketers, they can get on our Do Not Call list.
Is this the Tennessee Do Not Call list that we've heard people talk about?
Yes.
Go explain that.
Yes. Well, what happens is that a consumer can sign up by getting on our Do Not Call program. They can sign up by simply calling our agency, or they can sign up by email by calling, going to www.state.tn.us/TRA. They'll take them to our website, and there they'll see the array of services that we provide. But when a person gets on the Do Not Call list, we only provide a telephone number to the vendor that is required to contact us to scrub their list of those names, of those numbers that do not want to be called. And if we find companies that are violating this rule, then we move very swiftly in finding them. I like to believe that our agency, our state, has been a model for other states to follow. And I like to believe that the National Do Not Call list follow our lead, because we were doing what the consumers expect us to do. We were actually policing these type of occurrences and ensuring that consumers do not have to be bothered at times when they're trying to spend time with their family, when they're trying to spend time with, you know, doing other things within their own personal life.
So there's a time limit that is placed on the Do Not Call. They cannot call at certain. Explain that. How does that work?
Well, in reference to the time limit when a person can call you, that's basically regulated or monitored by the State Tennessee Consumer Affairs Department. What we make sure is that they don't call you. When you say you don't want to be called, whether it's at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, or even if it's within the allowed time, if you said you don't want to be bothered by telemarketers and you've been placed on our Do Not Call list, you're not to be bothered. So there is no time limit when you've been placed on the Do Not Call list. So again, they can call our agency, and they can call us at the local number, which is here, 741-3939. Ask for the Consumer Affairs, the Consumer Services Division, and they'll connect you to the Do Not Call program, and they'll take their name, address, and telephone number and place them on the list. Takes about 60 days for your name to come off all of the lists, but you may start seeing a decrease in those pesky phone calls right away. That's the Do Not Call program. In addition to the Lifeline and Link Up, and I just want to back up a minute, when I was mentioning earlier how a person who's low income can get telephone service at a reduced rate and also get a credit on their bill every month. If a person asks for local service only, and this is so very important, if a person asks for local service only when they call the telephone company to establish telephone service for the first time, and of course if they're receiving the food stamps or the SSI or Medicaid or Families First, or if their income meets the poverty level guidelines, meaning they qualify for the programs, by asking for local service only, the telephone company cannot ask them to pay a deposit.
So they don't have to pay a deposit, and that deposit can be as much as...
It could be on average the amount of what 2 months of local service would be, about $80 maybe. But that deposit really, it could be starting from anywhere from 50 on up. And of course, if they've had a bad history